Okay. Am I audible? Yeah, I hope I am. Okay, so first of all, to learn data science, we will first need to, I'll first need to give you all a brief introduction to what data science is. Okay, so first of all, to know what data science is, we will first need to define what data is. So data can simply be defined as any piece of information or facts about anything. And data can be in, take many forms. It can be in the form of numbers, texts, images, audio, or even videos. And these bits of information and data can be analyzed later on. Okay. So now data exists in everything. It exists everywhere. In almost every aspect of our lives, there is a lot of data available to us. So, for instance, if I were to give you all some examples, first of all, in sports, Uh, I'm sure many of you here enjoy watching sports like football and basketball, and I'm sure you all are well aware of the significance of data and statistics in sports. For example, if you're a football fan, you're able to check the possession, the amount of dribbles a particular player has been able to complete, how many passes a player has been able to make, and all of these bits of information and data helps us analyze and see how well a player or a team has been able to perform. Or if you're a basketball fan, if you want to see how well a particular player has performed, the amount of rebounds he's completed, the amount of points that he has been able to score, all of this data is available to us. And we can use this data, we can analyze this data later on to see how well that player has been able to perform. So uh, you can already see the importance of data in sports. Now let's look at something entirely different. Let's look at the weather. So if you are wondering what the temperature is at Thimphu or Pumtang or at Tashiga, wherever, that data is always available to us. You can simply go to Google or Chrome. You can go to Google or Chrome and you can look it up, find the temperature at any place you want, and all of that data is available to us. Similarly, you can even check the amount of precipitation, humidity, wind speed, the direction of the wind. All of that data is available to us. And even meteorologists combine all of these bits of information to forecast the weather, to predict what the weather will be like tomorrow. So we can already see that having these bits of information, the uh, knowing these bits of information can help us gain valuable insights on different things. Uh, Again, we can even there is data available to us even in things like music. If you really like a song, then the name of that song, the artist who made that song, and the amount of people who have streamed that song, all of these data and bits of information is available to us. And if you want to keep up with the latest trends in music, if you want to listen to what's considered popular these days, you can directly go to some streaming platforms like Spotify or Apple Music, and you can check which songs are very popular, which songs are being streamed the most these days, and you can check everything in music as well. Even in the financial domain, if you wanted to invest in some stocks, then you could the prices of those stocks are all available to you. Similarly, if you wanted to loan out some money or save some money, then the interest rates for these are all available to us. If you wanted to exchange your currency, for example, if I had a US dollar, the US dollar is obviously more valuable than the Bhutanese Ngultram. So if I wanted to find out how many Ngultrams I would get in exchange for my single US dollar, then that information is also available to us because we can always look up the exchange rates. If you even wanted to look at the situation of the economy, see how high or how low the prices of the general goods and services have become, you can even look at the inflation rates to see how well the economy is performing. So already we can see that data is very important and significant in almost everything, in almost every aspect. So yes, like I said, data is important for all of us. Why is it important for all of us? Because first of all, it helps us understand the world. Like I said previously, you could even look up what the popular musics are these days, what people enjoy listening to. You could even look at how the climate is changing these days by looking at the amount of data we have for weather. You could even see which sporting teams and which sport is popular, which teams are dominating these days. You could even look at the situation in the economy uh, by looking at the data available to you. So yes, having data available to us will help us get a better understanding on the world, and it will also help us make better decisions. For example, if you wanted to go for a picnic or a hike tomorrow, but you weren't aware of what the weather would be like tomorrow, then you can just look at the weather forecast and see what the weather is predicted to be like tomorrow. And if it's rainy, then you might take an umbrella or postpone your hike. uh, yes, so, or if you wanted to buy some stocks and you wanted to see which stocks have good potential in the market, then all of that data is also available to you. So with all of this data uh, available to us, we can make better decisions and understand the world around us. Also, it can help us answer some very difficult questions whose answers are not very immediately obvious. Okay, so like I said earlier, uh, in this example, the raccoon is asking his friend the crocodile, so I'm a sports fan. How does data help me? Now, the crocodile is answering his question. So he is telling the raccoon that if you're a basketball fan, with the help of data, you can compare the stats of the opposing team and your team. You can see which team has performed better in different aspects of the game, like which team has had a higher rebounds rate, which team has had better assist rates, and which team has scored more. So, with the help of data in sports, we're able to see which team has been more dominant, which team has performed better. Okay, so here's a multiple choice question. What's the main purpose of collecting and analyzing data? So yes, collect the main purpose of collecting data is of course to store information, but uh, it's not only limited to that. We can also analyze and further gain valuable insights from the bits of data. So that is not the best answer. It is obviously not used to confuse people, and it is not used to create problems. So we can already tell that the answer is to make informed decisions. So, okay, now let's try to contrast between data and data analysis. Now, as I already told you, data is just a bit of information or knowledge about something. It can be anything, and it's completely raw and unorganized. It can be just a number or just a bit of text, anything. So that's data. Now, what's data analysis? Analysis is a process of gaining valuable insights and knowledge, extracting knowledge and learning something from that data. So you can already tell that these things are not the same and there's some difference to them. Next, data is the input to the data analysis process. So without data, the data analysis process is not at all possible because data is one of the most important inputs to the data analysis process. Now, the data analysis process will aim to organize the raw data and turn it into a more meaningful and useful information for making better and rational decisions. So I hope you all understood the key differences between data and data analysis. Please inform me in the chat if I'm going too fast. Now, let's define what data analysis is. You all know what data is. Now, let's dive into what data analysis is. Okay, so uh, Nurbu Sonam Dolma has raised her hand. Do you have a question? Okay, I'll try to slow down. Kezang Selden, which part would you like me to explain again? Could you please answer it? Or difference between data and data analysis? Okay. I can see that a lot of you are raising your hands. Okay. Okay, I'll try to go slower and match your pace. Okay, so uh, once again, what are the key differences between data and data analysis? So data is just the raw and unorganized facts and figures. For example, in a in a football game, if one team had 70% of the ball possession, meaning they were 70% of the ball possession and the other team only had 30% of the ball possession, that is what data is. That's just the number available to us. Now, data analysis would be trying to make sense of that data. For example, earlier I said data, an example of data would be if one team had 70% of the ball possession and the other team only had 30% of the ball possession. Now, to analyzing that bit of data, we can figure out that the team that had the ball for 70% of the game controlled the game. They were very dominant in possession and they played really well. Whereas the other team were suffering, they could not get the ball very often and they could not play really well. So, data analysis would be something like that, making sense out of the data, whereas data would be just the raw and unorganized bit of information that is available to you. For example, just the numbers that is available to you. Okay. Next, uh, data is the input to the data analysis process. Okay. So, and then data analysis will try to organize the raw data and turn it into a meaningful and useful piece of information for making decisions. Uh, okay, so I hope you all understood this part. Okay, I'll be moving on. Please inform me if I'm going too fast or too slow again. Okay, so now let's define data analysis. So, uh, data analysis would be finding patterns and valuable information in a big pile of information. A lot of you are raising your hands. Uh, if you have any problem, can you please write it in the chat? Okay, so now what's data analysis? I already gave you an example earlier of what data analysis is when I gave you the example of football and how we use or analyze data from football. Now, let's properly define what data analysis is. Now, data analysis is like finding patterns and valuable bits of information in a large pile of information. I can see that a lot of you are raising your hands. If you do not have any doubts or problems, can you please stop? Okay, so now we all know that data is everywhere. I already said this. Large piles and loads of information and data are available to us. Now, data analysis would be picking the relevant and important pieces of information and finding patterns and valuable knowledge out of them, and analyzing and drawing conclusion from this. Okay, so more simply put, it is the process of making sense from the data to get valuable insights and knowledge out of the data. So data in an just by itself is not of much use to us, uh, just like that, because it is just raw and unorganized bits of information and facts. It's just numbers or pieces of text that do not make much sense to us unless we analyze them properly. Now, what data analysis will do is it will uh, help us. uh, what data analysis will do is it will extract valuable pieces of information out of the data available to us to draw conclusions and understand more. Now, the goal of data analysis is to take raw data and turn it into information that is useful. Okay, so now that you know what data analysis is, let me show you how you can analyze data by yourself, or let me introduce you to the data analysis process. So first of all, you want to, before starting your data analysis process, you want to define your problem and objective. For example, if you wanted to know the height or age of your classmates, then that would be your objective or your problem. So that's step one done. Number two, you have to collect the data from multiple sources. For example, like I said earlier, if you wanted to know the age and height of your classmates, then you have to collect the data from multiple sources, meaning you have to go to your classroom and ask all of your friends to fill in a table and write their names and their age or height in another column. So that would be how you would collect data from uh, multiple sources. In if you were collecting the in, if you were trying to gain information about the age or height of your classmates, then that is how you would collect the data, by going to your classroom and asking your friends. Now, third, you have to clean and organize the data. So uh, cleaning and organizing the data means removing any errors or inconsistencies in the data that you have, and then organizing the data, making it more clean. So I hope you all understood these first three steps. Next, after cleaning and organizing the data, you can explore the data using statistical and visualization tools. So to create a better representation of the data, you can use different tools. You could create bar graphs or pie charts, or you could even create tables to better represent the data. Now, and that would be how you would use the visualization tools to better represent the data. Now, next, you will have to interpret results and draw conclusions. For so just having data available to you is of no use. You also have to analyze it and draw conclusions and make sense of it. So next, after properly organizing and representing the data, you will have to interpret results and draw conclusions from it. And then you can communicate the results. You could publish your findings, or post it in Google, and you could yes, you could communicate the results to a larger audience. So I hope you all understood how the data analysis process works. Calm down, sir. Now, okay, as I said earlier, data is everywhere. It is available to us everywhere. Now, it can come in many forms. For example, earlier I gave you all an example where you wanted to know the height of your friends. So if you were to write a table in your notebook and ask go to your friends and ask them to fill it up with their names and their heights, then that would be collecting data in a non-digital format. And if you were to create a Google spreadsheet and share the spreadsheet with your friends and ask them to fill it up, then that would be collecting data in a digital format. And data can even be stored in instruments. For example, if you wanted to know whether you had a fever or not and wanted to know the temperature of your body, you could just stick a thermometer in your tongue, and the information about the temperature of your body would be available to you via the thermometer. So I hope you all understood how data can be collected and stored in different places. So, okay. Now, okay. So now that we know all of this, earlier I told you that earlier when I explained what data was, I told all of you that data is just a bit of information or knowledge, and it can be in many forms. And these are the various forms that data can be in. For example, numbers. Data can take the form of numbers, and we use numbers to when we need to represent a quantity or a measurement of something. For example, if you wanted to know your own height, then you wouldn't use pictures or sounds to show how tall you are. You would bring a measuring tape and simply measure how tall you are, and then represent that data in the form of numbers. So I hope you all understood how and when numbers are used to represent data. It can be used for even the age of people to show the uh, that you possess. Next, you could even use text. For example, now if I were to ask you all what your favorite animal is, then it wouldn't make sense for you to type in numbers now, would it? uh, you would try to tell me what your favorite animal is in the form of text. You would write down what your favorite animal is using letters and show them in words. So that is when we use text to represent data. Uh, so as you can see in different scenarios, we will use different forms of data. Now, next, we could even represent data in the form of pictures. For example, uh, let's say you went bird watching and you saw a unique bird and you want to know the name of that bird, but you're not sure what the name of that bird is. So you can just take a picture of that bird and go to Google Pictures, upload it there, and Google will browse the web and tell you what the name of that animal is. So yes, you can even store information in the form of pictures, and I hope you all understood how that works. Secondly, sounds. Now, let's say you went bird watching, but you didn't see the bird at all. You just heard the chirping sounds of that bird, and you want to now know the name of that bird. You can simply record the audio of that bird and then upload it into a browser, and then the browser will tell you what the name of that bird is, and it could even show you pictures of that bird. So you can even store data in the form of sounds. Next, let's say a tourist visits Bhutan from the United States, and he is seeing the sacred dances of Bhutan for the first time. But we all know that there are many different types of sacred dances in Bhutan, and he wants to know the name of that one sacred dance that he is seeing right now. So what he can do is he can just make a video of that dance and maybe go to Google or ask someone else what the name of that dance is. And since he has stored the video or store the data in the form of a video, the people or the browsers can easily tell him the name of that dance. So I hope you all understood how we store valuable bits of information in different forms of numbers in different scenarios. Uh, are there any doubts in this section? Okay. Okay, then I'll be moving on. Okay. Okay, so now that you have all, you're all experts at defining what data and data analysis is, what if you want to analyze some data? What if you want to do some research and draw some conclusions out of it? Now, first of all, as I told you, data is the input to the data analysis process. There will be no data analysis without data. So, first of all, before doing anything, you will first need to define the objective of your research or data analysis, and then you will need to collect data. Now, some of you might be wondering, how can I collect data? Well, there are various ways in which you can collect data. For example, you can simply observe and watch something. Uh, you could observe how the behavior of birds or animals in their natural habitats and write them down and collect data from it simply by observing and watching their behavior. So that's one way. Another way can be direct measurement. For example, if you just wanted to know what your height was, then you can just bring a measurement tape and measure your height. That it can be done directly through direct measurement. Third, you could create an experiment if you wanted to know how one factor, how something can affect a chemical process or uh, the process of something. Then you can create an experiment and you could hypothesize something, hypothesize how the experiment will go and check how it actually goes. So creating experiments and doing research can also help you collect important data. Third, you can extract log files from applications or websites. So these log files are special files that will update and have important information from time to time, and these are all available from different apps and websites. So if you have any if you are curious about something or wanted to find have gain information about something, you can directly extract these files from different websites or applications. Next, another way to collect data could be by simply running a survey or a poll. For example, if I wanted to see how many of you are enjoying these classes and see how many of you are understanding what I'm teaching, then I could create a survey on Google Forms or create a poll and ask you all to rate your understanding on a scale of 1 to 10. And after running the survey and gaining the information, I could better understand how well I've taught. So, running a survey or a poll can be another way of collecting data. And then another way of collecting data is by publicly available data sources. So, we are all well aware of the amount of data that is available to us through different browsers like Google and Chrome. So, you can uh, extract data from these sources that are available to us all. So I hope you all understood uh, how many different methods there are to collecting data and how we can use them to collect data. Think about the picture. Okay, Now, uh, next we'll be talking about data cleaning and pre-processing. Now, data pre-processing is like cleaning and organizing your room before you can play with your toys. So, of course, your parents always must always tell you to clean and organize your room before you can lay down all your toys and play with them. Data cleaning and pre-processing is similar to that. If data analysis is like you playing with your toys, then data pre-processing is like you cleaning your room and making it tidy and organized. So, uh, if I were to further elaborate on that analogy, you cannot really play with a messy room because then everything will become disorganized and nothing will look clean. Similarly, you cannot directly go into the data analysis process without organizing and cleaning the bits of data that is available to you. So I hope you all understood this analogy. Next, data pre-processing is also about ensuring that the data that you have is clean and ready to be used. So some of the data that you have might contain some errors or might be inaccurate. So in data pre-processing, you have to ensure that the data you have is clean and is ready to be used. So you have to make sure that it is accurate and it is consistent. Now, thirdly, data preprocessing can include activities like, firstly, removing any extra or unnecessary information. So, as I told you, there is a very large pile of information available to us on almost everything. So, during the process of data analysis, you might have collected some unnecessary or extra pieces of information and which is not required or important. So during data pre-processing, you can remove or delete those unnecessary and unimportant pieces of information or data. Next, during we can fill in missing pieces. So if you have any missing pieces of information, you should also collect them during the data pre-processing. And then you have to make sure that all of your data is in the right format for the analysis process. So if I were to explain how you can make sure that all of your data is in the right process, right format for the analysis, let's say you want to collect data on the height of your classmates, and you have done it. You have collected the name and the height of four of your classmates, Tanjin, Dorji, Tsring, and Sange, and you have also written down their heights on another column. Now, these bits of information are all correct. Uh, Height should be represented or it should be written down in the form of numbers. But Dorji has written down his height in the form of text, which is not the correct format for how you should represent your height. So, in the data pre-processing process, you could just correct or rectify the incorrect incorrectly written pieces of data. So he has written 177 in text. You can just erase it and write it in the form of numbers. And now this is correct. The height is written in the correct format. The data that is available to us is all in the correct format. So that would be one of the examples of you can how data pre-processing is important. Okay, so I hope you all understood what data cleaning and pre-processing is and how important it is in the data analysis process. Now, let's talk about data exploration and visualization. So first of all, earlier I told you about data visualization. Data visualization is important for us to better represent the data that is available to us. So you cannot just present the data that you have collected in an unorganized and messy way. You have to represent it in a proper manner, so that the people that you're presenting it to will be able to better visualize and understand the research or data analysis that you have done. So firstly, we can calculate the statistics like the mean or median. Now, for example, uh, if I were to ask you how well you have done in your midterm examinations, and if I wanted to know how well you have done in your midterm examinations, I wouldn't go around asking every single one of you how much you have scored in Zongha, how much you have scored in English, how much you have scored in maths. I wouldn't do that. I would simply ask you for your mean score or your average score. So you can already see how these statistics like mean, median can be used to represent a large pile of data. So I hope you understood this first part. Secondly, you could build models to extract insights and make predictions. So like I said earlier, you can make models like pie charts or bar graphs, histograms. You could make different types of models that will make it that will represent the data that you have collected in a better manner, and help the people that you're presenting it to understand what you have just uh, understand your data analysis. Okay, and next, of course, data visualization will help you and other people visualize data and understand the conclusions that you have drawn and the findings that you have uh, got from your research. So that is the end of the introduction to data science. If I were to summarize it, I would say that the data analysis process is similar to a treasure hunt. The data analyst or the person who does the data analysis is similar to a treasure hunter. And uh, if I were to expand on that analogy, uh, if a treasure map is a tool that helps a treasure hunter find their way, then analysts also have various different tools like the treasure map that will help them uncover valuable insights from the data. And just like the treasure hunter will look for valuable items like treasure in different locations, a data analyst will search for important pieces of information hidden in large sets of data. So I already told you that we have very large piles of information available to us for almost everything. And uh, what the data analyst will do is he will try to find the most relevant and important pieces of data or treasure out of uh, those other irrelevant and unimportant bits of data. So I hope you all understood this first presentation on the introduction to data science. Okay. Next, okay, then let's move on to how you can collect data. So I already gave you a bit of an idea as to how you can collect data in different ways in the first course. Now, in the second course, we will be expanding on that knowledge. We will be seeing how we can collect data. Back and forth. Wi-Fi. Just make doubts from your doubts. Now we will be talking about how you can collect data and how you can understand the importance of collecting data. And yeah, let's get into it. Okay, I'm sure all of you have heard of the term data collection. Now, okay, just to review what I said earlier, what is data? Data is just a bit of information or the raw and unorganized facts that will help us understand trends or help us gain knowledge about something. It is also the input for the data analysis process. Without data, there is no data analysis. Now that we know what data is, let's define the term data collection. Now, you all know what data is, and I hope you all know what collection is. Collection is just the process of gathering something. So data collection would be very simply defined as the process of gathering or collecting data, the process of gathering information from different sources. This information can be used to answer questions or make decisions. So these were all covered in the first presentation. Okay. Now, okay, collecting the right data. Now, first of all, we will first need to understand how you can collect the right and relevant pieces of data. Choosing which data to collect for a data analysis process can be a very critical and challenging task. And the success of the analysis will heavily rely on the quality and relevance of the data you have collected. So, how can you collect the right pieces of information? Well, you have to first of all very clearly define the objectives of your data analysis. So, the first step in determining which data to collect is to define the objectives of the analysis process. This will help you identify the key questions you want to answer and the data needed. So, if I were to give you a very simple example of this, let's say you want to know the height of your classmates again. So, you have very clearly defined your objectives. So, what you will do is similar to this spreadsheet, you will create a table with the names of your classmates on one column and the height of your classmates on another column. And after clearly defining your objectives, you are able to collect the right piece of information, which is the height of your classmates. But if you are not able to clearly define your objectives, let's say you wanted to know the height of your classmates, but you asked your friend to collect the data and he didn't hear you very well, or he didn't understand the main objective of your data analysis or research, then and instead of collecting the height of your classmates, he collected the age of your classmates. Now, your main goal or objective was to collect information on the height of your classmates, and you have collected information of the age of your classmates, which is completely irrelevant and unimportant to this research. Which means your data analysis process will completely fail simply because you are unable to clearly describe and define the objective of your research. So that very clearly shows how important it is to define the objective of your research. I hope you all understood this example. Now, secondly, you have to identify the sources. Like I said, if you wanted to find the height of your, oh, sorry, if you wanted to know the name and age of your classmates, let's say you wanted to conduct a research on that, and okay, mm, you want to know the name and the age of your classmates, but you have to identify the sources. You have to figure out from where you can get the pieces of data from. So obviously, if you wanted to know the name and age of your classmates, your sources would be the classroom. You could go to the classroom and ask, and all of your sources would be there. You could ask all of your classmates to fill out the table like the one I've just shown. But if you do not pick the correct sources, if you go out of your classroom and instead ask your school principal and your teachers to input their age into the table, then that would again be completely wrong. You would have received data from uh, the wrong sources, and again, your research would be completely wrong. Your data analysis process has failed, it has gone wrong. So That is why collecting the right data is of utmost importance. And to do that, I hope you all understood what you need to do to collect the right and relevant and important pieces of information. Firstly, you have to define your objectives, clearly define them. And secondly, you have to identify the sources. I hope you all understood what I just said. Okay, next. Now, like I said earlier, data is everywhere, can be in a digital format, non-digital format, or even in instruments like thermometers or barometers. So I'm sure I do not have to repeat this one. Again, I'm sure I do not need to review the types of data there are. uh, to quickly go through them. Various types of data or the different forms that data can take are in the form of numbers, in the form of texts, pictures, sounds, and videos. So I hope you all understood this section as well, because it will be very important for us moving on. Now, okay, now let's say you want to do some data analysis or do some research about anything that piques your interest, and you want to collect data to move on with your research, because of course without data there will be no data analysis. Now, how will you collect the data? Well, there are multiple ways to collect data. First of all, you could do a survey, you could even just simply observe and watch, you could conduct experiments, or you could use transactions and logs. Now I will be further elaborating on every single one of them. First of all, you could conduct surveys and questionnaires. Sir, now surveys are just a way of gathering information by asking different questions to a group of people, and this can be done in person, over the phone, or through an online form. Uh, I believe I gave you an example earlier of how I can conduct surveys and extract data from them. For instance, if I wanted to see how much you have all understood and whether you're enjoying the class, I could create a survey on Google Forms asking you all whether you have enjoyed the class and how highly you'd rate the manner in which I teach on a scale of 1 to 10. And you could all rate me and then submit your responses to me, and then I could uh, collect my findings from the survey and draw conclusions. I could get valuable feedback out of the survey and further improve. So that is how surveys and questionnaires work. And these do not necessarily need to be done in Google form on or through any other online forms. They can even be done in person. So if you just wanted to uh, know the average age of your class, then you could. Oh no, if you are a teacher and you want to know how well your students have understood what you're teaching, then you could ask every single one of your students in person. That could also count as a survey. So I hope you all understood how surveys and questionnaires work. Questionnaires are just surveys in which you have to answer some questions. So I hope you all understood how surveys and questionnaires can be used to collect data. We are provided with an example here. Your school might conduct a survey to learn about your interests and opinions on various subjects, such as what kind of after school activities you would like to see offered. So, if your school had enough budget to provide one after school activity, then they could conduct a poll or a survey and see which activity most students would be interested in, and then they could allocate their budget into that after school activity. For example, let's say your school had enough budget to conduct after school activities like firstly karate, second cricket, and third football, and they conducted a poll or a survey for this, and they found out that most of the students would like to play football after school. Then they would allocate their budget into creating a football field, and they wouldn't use their money to uh, hire a karate teacher or buy some wickets for cricket. So that is how surveys and questionnaires can be used to gain valuable pieces of information and data, and gain valuable insights, and make rational decisions. So I hope you all understood how surveys and questionnaires can be used to collect data and analyze those bits of data. Now, you might be wondering, okay, I want to conduct a survey. How can I do this online? Well, you have uh, various online survey tools like Google Forms and SurveyMonkey that are available to you. You can use these online survey tools anytime you want to help you out in your research or data analysis. Okay. Next, observations. So another way of collecting data is observations. How can you collect data by observing simply? Now, observational data collection is a way of collecting information by watching and recording things that are happening rather than just asking questions. So, like I said, a bird watcher or a scientist can observe the behavior of different plants or animals in their natural habitats, and they could write it down. And then just by simply observing how the behavior of these animals are, they can write down important pieces of data or text about on their behavior and their biology or anything else. Okay, so we have another example here as to how we can collect data simply by making observations on things. An example could be a scientist observing the behavior of animals in their natural habitat to learn more about how they live and interact with one another. Another way can be how a traffic analyst might stand by a busy street corner and watch the flow of cars, trucks, and bikes to understand how traffic patterns will change during different times of the day. So I hope you all understood how observations can also be used to collect data. Okay, so we have ran out of time today, so I'll stop here today. I hope you all understood what I said.
Okay, thank you, Tantin. 하고의 그 지수기. Okay, we will continue day after tomorrow. Tomorrow we will learn coding. Atchide 하고의 그 가데베 아니면 조미가 가데베 가지나 data science 미디. If I give example, I will summarize. If I give example, choose weather forecast study mo nawa nimsha anime and sumbe. So those are happening because of data analysis process give. Those are happening because of the data and data analysis. Choose the question asked by data analysis one of the students and the study the past question study from past question, then predict the future. This is data analysis. How the weather prediction this in you guys are using a TikTok, right? Most of people are using TikTok and all. When we watch TikTok, 내가 지연이 위주지 따들로치 같이 따옴 아따라따미 위주디 lok지 대 도움이 너무 건축이 아니 디스까지 happen 베모 because of data analysis 아니기 베 배운득가 when you watch Netflix, if you watch Netflix of the some animations, in next time you will be get a recommendation similar to the similar kind of the animation. Those are happening because of the data and data analysis. 하고이 아니비